Blessings and peace, everyone. When God removes narcissistic gang stalker, family members, and so called friends from your life, don't look back. And think about this. Why should you look back? That chapter is closed, it is sealed for good. And as a people, it's natural that we have a tendency to focus on the things we lost or the things we had to give up and leave behind. But what happens to us when we focus on what we lost or what we had to leave behind? We fail to notice the blessings and the potential that's ahead of us. And get this, looking back can get you into a lot of trouble. Yep, looking back and yearning for the good old days. But then you have to ask yourself this question: was it really the good old days? And failure to notice what new days lie ahead. What beautiful blessings, potentials, great things lie ahead. When we put too much emphasis on the past, we can't focus on the future. You see, life is not meant to be lived looking in your rearview mirror. And anyway, the question is, what are you looking back to? Ask yourself that question. What are you looking back to? If that chapter is closed, if that story is closed and sealed, and that door is locked, closed, sealed, what are you looking back to? It's not like you can travel back to the past and pick up, what was left behind or who was left behind. I mean, in reality, you can. You can go back and you can reconnect to your past, but you can't change your past. You can't change it. So we have to go on and move forward and live our lives, letting the past be in the past. Because when you think about it, there's really nothing to look back to. Those days are gone. New days are ahead. So I want to give you some examples of the trouble you can get into when you look back to the past, when you yearn to return to the past. Let's take a look at the Israelites who murmured and complained after God delivered them from their oppressors in Egypt. They were so focused on the past that they spoke out. They spoke out and criticized their leader, Moses. They said, "You have brought us out here to die." And they said, "We desire to go back to Egypt, where at least there we had plenty of food and plenty of water. You should have just left us in Egypt." And you know what? When they spoke those words angered God. They were putting God to the test. They were showing how ungrateful and unthankful they were. God had just delivered them from slavery, from their oppressors, and they had the nerves to say, "We want to go back. You should have just left us there." Going back there is better than being here. Going back there is better than the great plan for our lives that God has ahead of this. So when we start reminiscing about the past, and it's going to take some work because it's natural for us to want to reconnect to the people and places from the past, the things that were familiar. But guess what? When we desire this, we're saying, God, take us back, reconnect us to the very people and places that we prayed for you to take us out of. The Israelites had prayed and begged God to deliver them from their oppressors. And as soon as they were delivered, they prayed to go back to the very thing that they had asked God to remove from their lives, to break the chains and to set them free from. Another example is Lot's wife. She looked back after escaping the destruction of fire and brimstone that rained down on the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And we all know what happened to her. She turned into a pillar of salt just because she yearned for the past, just because she did what she was told not to do, which was not to look back. So I came to encourage you on today, my friends. Don't look back. There are so many great things ahead of you. Your future is looking bright and promising. And God is truly able to send you new friends, new family members, a new tribe, a new community, specifically for you. Don't look back. There's nothing to look back to.